Hello friends! Welcome to Adventures in Pixieland. We are in our morning edition of Bible study. We're doing Matthew in the Niv, chapter 8, and we're doing the entire chapter, which is 1 through 34. And so, Matthew, of course, being one of the apostles, being a gospel, his whole job is to write down everything that Jesus, he saw Jesus, say or do. Because when you're going to go about doing what Jesus did, or you're going to go about creating something new, or think of it as the kind of thought process that any one of us would have to come up with if we were going to start a business. We wouldn't be able to have, you can't just have one set of skills. And this is part of why a lot of businesses fail, because people will have one particular skill set. They think I should go into business with this, and I should go do that. I should just create whatever this is and sell it. And that's fine, as long as you're small scale and you're not planning to be anything more. And it's sort of like, here's your hobby that you happen to make money at, right? Or a side hustle. It's fine for that. But if you were going to take that and do that big scale, well, okay, are you also an accountant? Are you also, you have a building, like, are you making multiple parts? You have to start hiring people. And you have to be able to identify, without getting egotistical, what you can manage and what you can't manage. Now, the prophets, so Jesus the Messiah, yes, a prophet, having all the skills that a prophet has, but more, because he's the Messiah. The previous Messiah spent a lot of time writing letters. That's how come we have them in the Old Testament of the Bible. Because at the time, remember, the Torah was written, Mosaic law was written. What was going on in history during that time frame, that's a different thing. We know from the Old Testament and those prophets that the priests weren't doing what they should have been doing. They were burning incense to the pantheon. The pantheon. Pantheon, similar personalities, multiple cultures, different names. Just like we have for any other word of any other thing. Okay? So, to look at what the pantheon was for the Jewish people, you'd have to really do some digging. But mostly what they all talk about is angels, and not really much of anything else. So he didn't like that, and he didn't like any of those things, and weren't supposed to be repeating any of those kinds of patterns. Now, I'm not saying the prophets, because the prophets write about going and doing these big public displays in front of things. But they didn't spend all their time teaching. They didn't spend all their time doing those things. Right? They had to go about their everyday life of trying to survive and make money and all that kind of stuff. And they did these things because God told them to. Think of it as like God was their hobby. Pretty much like me. Because this is my hobby. When I'm not working or spending time with family, or I do some arts and crafts and things like that, but I spend more time on this channel doing these kinds of things, doing the readings or any of the rest of the stuff I do, than I do anything else. Because this is where I choose to spend most of my attention. If Jesus is walking around preaching and teaching and taking on the different role of a rabbi, he can't be standing there and then also writing down everything he said. So then he had to pre-write it all down then in order to use it like pre-writing a speech. But that's not really kind of the way the Holy Spirit works. And Jesus tells the apostles this. Don't worry about what you're going to say in advance. Go to the place, listen to the people, open your mouth and speak. Be open for the Holy Spirit to take over. So, okay. Be open for the Holy Spirit to take over. That's the reality. So he couldn't do both. So that was Matthew's job. Write down everything Jesus said. He was not exactly known for a person to be pushy with his own opinions. So he wrote down everything he saw Jesus do and say. Now, I'm not saying that makes it 100% accurate. No. There are other gospels for other people. You're going to find the thread as we go through all the gospels. Okay? The man with leprosy. Chapter 8, verse 1. When he came down from the mountainside, large crowds followed him. A man with leprosy came and knelt before him and said, "Lord, if you are willing, you can make me clean." Jesus reached out his hand and touched the man. "I am willing," he said. Be clean. Be clean. Immediately, he was cured. H as a footnote. That's what it looks like to me anyway. Or no, maybe B. Sorry, that is a B. That's a very funny looking B to me. Greek is made clean. He was made clean of his leprosy. Basically one and the same. Then Jesus said to him, "See that you don't tell anyone, but go, show yourself to the priest, and offer it the gift Moses commanded as a testimony to them." Like, keep this secret, but I cured you. He didn't really keep it secret. The faith of the centurion, verse 5. When Jesus had entered Capernaum, a centurion came to him asking for help. "Lord," he said, "my servant lies at home paralyzed and is terribly suffering." Jesus said, "I will go and heal him." The centurion said, "Lord, I do not deserve to have you come under my roof, but just say the word, and my servant will be healed. For I myself am a man under authority with soldiers under me. I tell this one, go, and he goes, and that one, come, and he comes. And I say to my servant, do this, and he does it." When Jesus heard this, he was astonished and said to those following him, "I tell you the truth. I have not found anyone in Israel with such great faith. I say to you that many will come from the east and the west and will take their place at the feast with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. But the subjects of the kingdom will be thrown outside into darkness, where there will be weeping and the gnashing of teeth." Oh, wow. Then Jesus said to the centurion, "Go. It will be done just as you believe it would." And the servant was healed that very hour. Okay, so having a faith and saying you follow a faith and following the rules of that faith and following the rules of that faith perfectly is not what will get you into heaven. Faith gets you into heaven. So a religion doesn't do it. Faith in Jesus does. Religion is a set of rules. It's a set of closed system rules. If it doesn't allow for new prophecies, new information, new ways of being, and it doesn't tell you that you've got to do penance or act different, treat people different, any of that kind of stuff, then you're relying on the law of man, just like the Jews were doing. And he's saying the law of man won't get you into heaven. It doesn't matter if this world says you're amazing on every level if you're not what his measure of what a good person is. Religions all just try to define what that is. But in the trying to define it, they create problems. Jesus heals many. Verse 14. When Jesus came to Peter's house, he saw Peter's mother-in-law lying in bed with a fever. He touched her hand, and the fever left her. And she got up and began to wait on him. When the evening came, many who were demon-possessed were brought to him, and he drove out the spirits with a word and healed all the sick. This is to fill what was spoken through the prophet Isaiah. He took up our infirmities and carried our diseases. See Isaiah 53:4. The cost of following Jesus. Everything worthwhile in this world has a cost. Verse 18. When Jesus saw the crowd around him, he gave orders to cross to the other side of the lake. It's just too many people, he was overwhelmed. Then a teacher of the law came to him and said, "Teacher, I will follow you wherever you go." Jesus replied, "Foxes have holes, and birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man has no place to lay his head." Another disciple said to him, Lord, first let me go and bury my father. But Jesus told him, follow me and let the dead bury their own dead. So, when he calls you, no matter what it is, and he calls you into service, no matter what it is, he doesn't wait. That's the thing with Ascension, in general. You can't ask other people, because Ascension is trying to make ourselves as, as close to how Jesus would react to things as possible, in my opinion. Other people are going to have other opinions, and that's fine. They can have them, and as long as they're not running around in the world hurting other people, it doesn't matter to me. Because they're being nice to everybody else. I don't care how they get there. Be nice. In your heart. Because you want to. Because we shouldn't want to hurt other people. If someone is in the process of becoming the best version of themselves, which is what Ascension looks like, and for me that means making yourself react and respond in the world in this perfect state of grace and love for others, which is very hard to do. So everybody needs to be uplifted, not ripped down when they're trying to do this process. You can't ask them to stop their own healing process to wait for you to catch up. If you two are supposed to continue to interact in the world, then when you're on your healing process, on your own journey, because you're over here minding your own business, making you the best version of you, you will meet up with them again, if that's what's meant to be. But sometimes we encounter people that we're only supposed to be around for a very short time in order to help us grow. Because it can be in the not having them in our life, no matter what kind of role they played for us, that causes the change. Jesus calms the storm, verse 23. Then he got into the boat, and his disciples followed him. Without warning, a furious storm came up on the lake, so that waves swept over the boat, but Jesus was sleeping. The disciples went and woke him, saying, Lord, save us, we're going to drown. He replied, you have little faith. Why are you so afraid? Then he got up and rebuked the winds and the waves, and it was completely calm. Then the men were amazed and asked, what kind of man is this? Even the winds and the waves obey him. In the Jewish culture, previous to this, everything that had to do with nature, only controllable by God. If some nature thing came and wiped somebody out, it was like, well, that was God at work and he was doing something. So for them, that's a very big deal that he would be able to command nature. And in the Jewish culture, it had not ever been seen since like Moses parting the sea. So I mean, it's not like it's never been seen, but not often. Or the water from the rock. Because to them it means, that God has entrusted them with powers. Now, in other cultures, like today being Halloween, in the Celtic cultures, that was one of the tests for the Druids. Druids supposedly, when they were at that height of power, had that ability to control nature, to call the storm, to call the fog, to call into nature. So it's not isolated to this culture thing. It exists in many cultures in many places as a sign that you're connected to the one source, or God, as I call them. The healing of 2 demon-possessed men. Verse 28, when he arrives at the other side of the region, I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce this right, at Gadarenes. Oh, it's even got a footnote. Some manuscripts have different spellings for this. Gergesens, or Geresenes. However you pronounce that. I mean, it's a location. 2 demon-possessed men coming from the tombs met him And they were so violent that no one could pass that way. Like they were raving around like madmen, you know. And if you tried to go anywhere near them, you were going to get injured. So they were blocking up the road. Verse 29. "What do you want with us, Son of God?" they shouted. "Have you come here to torture us before the appointed time?" Before the battle between demons and angels, before the appointed time. But notice how Jesus didn't have to get anywhere near them other than be in the general vicinity, and the demon within them started freaking out and getting violent. In case you're encountering, anybody acting a fool and causing drama around you. It's not my imagination. Drama is restlessness of the spirit. Drama starters, the people who are trying to stir up people's emotions and get a bunch of attention all the time, have something wounded in their soul that they need to go heal. There's an insecurity there, and you're showing it when you start the drama. You're not fooling anybody. Anybody who's at a state of spiritual maturity can see your woundings when you create drama. You have them on display. You're not hiding anything. You can't hide anything from him anyway, but you can't hide anything from anybody who is in a more healed state than you either. Of some distance from them, verse 30, some distance from them, a large herd of pigs was feeding. The demons begged Jesus, "If you drive us out, send us into the herd of pigs." He said to them, "Go." So they came out and went into the pigs, and the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and died in the water. Those tending the pigs ran off, went into town, and reported all of this, including what had happened to the demon-possessed men. If you're not trying to stir up notice, which you notice he, back with leprosy, he didn't want anybody to notice him. So that, that doesn't stay. Gossip spreads fast, right? Then the whole town went out to meet Jesus. And when they saw him, they pleaded with him to leave their region. So I want you to stop at that for a second. Pleaded with him to leave their region. They were so ensconced in their worship of their local deities, which did indeed, in the Jewish faith at least, include demons, that they would rather he leave than actually get rid of the things that are creating problems. So if you are facing any kind of situations today where you feel like you're being driven out of a situation by people who really are just very need of some therapy or, healing or, whatever it is, understand that it happened even to Jesus. It's what it looks like when someone's inner traumas and wounds are wanting control in that moment. Give them their space, because you don't really need to be around that energy anyway. Focus on what you got to do in your life. Find your way around them. I've always had great success in that. When you start focusing on what the solution is that doesn't involve them, you generally find the answer that you need to find. So until later, friends.